But when I'm allowing something to come to me, then I'm allowing freedom. Because what comes to me comes by choice, not by enforcement, or not by some active element. So I think a very strong part of love, and probably the strongest element, has to do with the attraction element of it. And maybe you can call it charisma or whatever, but I don't think they're the same. Certainly it's part of it. But the whole concept that everything that you need will come to you, as opposed to you going out and getting it. And those are really two different things. And that doesn't mean that you don't go to the store and you don't buy your bread and you don't sit around waiting for the dozen eggs to get delivered. But what I'm talking about is really serious stuff here, especially in relationships with human beings and with our relationship with what goes on in the world. So we sit and we pray and we meditate, and one of the biggest things, and the other aspect about that is the concept of cast your bread upon the water, and it will return to you. 100-fold or 30-fold or whatever fold it is, has to do with the amount of effort placed behind your casting it on the water. So if we take the concept that we're working for our fellow man, and we're working with areas of harmony, of peace, of joy, and love, and we actually work so that they may have that in their life. If we look at ourselves as being a font of love, that we have this to dispense, and we give that away freely, what happens is it returns to us in greater amounts. And that's part of the element of love. And there is an emotional element of it, and there's also a physical element of it. There is desire involved with it. And I think what has to happen to us is we have to convert our desire to be loved to the desire to love. Change the whole idea of wanting to be loved to being a loving force, and wanting to be a loving force, of wanting to care for those around us, of wanting to help them elevate themselves, of wanting to help them open themselves up to their highest level of consciousness. And I'm not sure that we want that. I mean, we want people to open up, and we want people to be loving and caring, but do we want ourselves to be an instrument of that force? And I think that's what true love has to do with. And, right now we have a person in government that we're all hoping is an embodiment of that. And certainly there's some articles that have been written. I don't know if I've allowed you guys to see that yet, but, the one that Dr. Kelleher sent us, maybe you can read, because I guess, what's her name, Marianne Williamson, or if that's her name or whatever, she's quoted in there as being very big on Obama and what he represents and what he may be, and maybe he is. But certainly there is an aspect of him that looks like he drew a great deal to him. We look at the Dalai Lama, and it looks like he's drawn a good deal to him also. They're forces of attraction, and we must somehow convert ourselves from desire beings to being forces of attraction. And we've used desire in the process of that. And the desire has to be loving in such a way as that we attract everything that we need in our lives, that it does appear at the right time. And so there's a balance, I think, that takes place in there. But the desire element always has to be for the benefit of all, not just for our benefit. If the desire element is for our benefit, then it becomes selfish. It's not selfless. And if the desire element is for the benefit of all, then it has a universal tone to it. So as we look at our desires, our lusts, whatever we want to call it, it's appropriate to look at exactly what it is that we're wanting. And are we able to give that up in terms of a be-all and an end-all in our lives? And are we able to desire something of a higher level? And it doesn't mean that that can't be part of our lives. It just means that we have to elevate ourselves, use our mentalities, use our emotions, use our physicalness in a manner that is more conducive to kindness and forgiveness of others. So my bottom line today is, as opposed to a couple years ago, where I thought it was strictly an attractive element, I think there's a combination. I think there's desire in there, and I think you have to desire to be a font of love. And the greater the font of love is, the greater the attractive quality of that is, and the greater the attraction to bring others to you. The desire then has to be to free them and to set them off on a path to their higher selves and to elevate their spirit as well as your own. So there's a balance that goes on in there. But the balance, and I think it's difficult for most of us to get to that state that we are really legitimately concerned about our fellow man. We talk about it a lot, but most of the time, as Carol Ryder said, is we're about doing our own business. And that's what we're doing most of the time. Very rarely do we sit down and really have the fullness of humanity involved in what we're doing. And we certainly have the opportunity in our prayers and our meditations, but I think it's necessary on a more active level to start desiring what's best for all, always. And when we see a change that needs to take place, is we do it through love, and through love as an active, positive element, but as an attractive force, so that we're not imposing our will or our love on other people. It's not an imposition. It's a drawing factor that makes them want to change. And the easiest way, or the best way of doing that, is by being an example. So it's for us to order ourselves in such a way that we're an example that others want to follow. So with those thoughts in mind, let's all rise, and now we're going to do the, not rise, but we're going to do the acceptance statement. All right? Now, may the light illumine our mind with wisdom, may love fill our heart with understanding, may the one life shine forth from our innermost being, so that we walk renewed in light, life, love, today, tomorrow, and forever.